Welcome along to our 35th Q&A, okay? So for those of you who've been here a while, you're like, wait, this is only my first or my second. All of them are in our library, okay? So you can look back through all of them if you want. But the thing that I have to share with you in a short while here today is a pretty cool piece of technology that will actually help you a lot with things like that. So that's all I'll say. But it's been in the works for a while, okay? I hired somebody to go through all 800 of my YouTube videos and get the transcripts of all of them. And stuff from like 10 years ago up to now, stuff that I had on video long before I even started on YouTube. So I'll keep you posted. Declan, welcome in. How are you doing? So let's get into it. Okay, so our live Q&A. First question that came in is from Bill, and the question is around, I'm going to put it up here. What is the most important piece of advice I would give someone who's about to rehearse and perform with others for the first time? Okay, so if it's your first time, I'll start with the rehearsing. Okay, so I'm going to break it into two. So if it's your first time rehearsing with others, the key thing to keep in mind is that there'll probably be more similarities than differences between the lot of you. When I went to rehearsing with others for the first time, I thought I'd be the only one that would be nervous and the only one that like would maybe not have done this before and things like that. But the key thing to remember is to go into it with an open mind, and you want to go into it and you kind of want to scope the room out. That's what I'd say. Like if I was going into a musical, I'll make the context relevant. If I was to go into a scenario where I was playing music with others, like whether it's a gig or a musical or something like that, or a jam, the first thing I'd do is I would have my work done. Like, I mean, and I know you're rehearsing, I know you're flat out practicing. So, but I'll just say it, have the work done, and I would err on the side of playing quietly, plugged into an amp, than being too loud. I much rather go into the scenario playing quieter and being asked to turn up than playing loud. And what I would do is I would predict in advance where the conductor may start if it was a group, or the band leader may start. So here's one scenario. There was a time, and I'll just say I played a musical once, and I was coming into it as a first time playing with others. And what happened was I looked at the start of the musical and the end, and I had those two learned probably the best, because I was like, they might start from the start and they might start from the end, and then start in the middle sometimes, but definitely have the heavy work done towards the start if they're like looking to rehearse from the start. Now that's going into it. And then the second thing I'll say is, depending on who you play with, I've played with a whole host of musicians, a whole host of like people who've played really well, who are like, in Ireland we use the term sound, who are like really nice, like nice and friendly and stuff. People who've been really great players, been really nice. I've played with players who haven't been that great a player, but weren't that nice. You know, there's every combo going on here. And the main thing I'd say is go in with like water off a duck's back is the saying that comes to mind. Like, it's a big experiment, and when you go in for the first time, that if someone ever did say anything, it's just feedback. That I frame it as feedback, and the main person I would want to impress / make sure everything was okay with is the leader. Whether that's a conductor, whether that's a band leader, whether that's whoever's calling the shots. Like, that's the only person whose opinion really matters, right? So that's the first thing. And then I'd also treat each one as data gathering. So let's say I go into the first rehearsal. I would expect things not to go well. It's a rehearsal. And I say this, and it sounds kind of negative of me saying to go into it and be like, watch out for what isn't working. But when you do that, when you've your work done, the practice in the front end, and you go in, and if stuff doesn't go well, write it down, have the pencil with you, mark it in the score, because you'd be amazed. Like, if you're playing a 30 song set or playing a musical, at the stuff you might think you'll remember, and then an hour or two later and you look back and Like we were talking earlier about like the power of little tips. Well, you get little tips to yourself by like marking those bars. And if you're reading off music, like mark the bars. And then I have the homework, and then I'd go home and I would just completely knock it out of the park. Depending on the permissions of others there, because there'd be privacy laws and concerns. Like if it was possible to record bits of the rehearsal, if you had permission, that you could go home and listen back. You know what I mean? So then you have the bars, then you think. So you notice here, like I'm really going into it from a data gathering perspective to go in and to go, okay, this little thing happened here, bar 34, this here, okay, I'm gonna go home now. And your ability, right? Your ability to be a player that showed up at the first rehearsal with a lot of work done, right? A lot of work done, and a lot of great work done. And then whatever bits are missing or incomplete, that you go home and that you now have information, you've bar numbers, you know what to do, and that you practice those. Then you go back to the next session, and my God, the difference between a player who does that and the difference between a player who's like, ah yeah, sure, I'll look out for that, that'll be grand. You know, it's just those little things. And if you're having a couple of rehearsals or a couple of jams and you do that over enough jam, my God, the learning and the improvement, like it's so much more. And it's kind of like that thing of, you know, you heard those stories of like fighters who watch back their fight and they watch it multiple times. Like fighters who watch the same fight 20 times and they take notes. You know, it's the same idea. So that would be the thing. That would be how to go into it. And this is called, I think it's called fear setting, right? We're not setting fears here, but Tim Ferriss, really great speaker, he had a talk before about like trying to predict in advance what you might need to watch out for so you can take care of it in advance. And that's basically what that is. So you write down the stuff, you go home and practice, then you come back. Now, let's just say that's the scope of the rehearsals. And then what you do playing wise, go in playing a little bit quieter. Now, now I'm going to get into playing with others for the first time, right? And this is where this advice is basically, this can be used anywhere. So just give me 1 second here now. Okay, so if you're going into a scenario where you're playing with others for the first time, the key places to play along with others would be at home. Okay, this is my drawing. At home, you'd be playing along with songs at home, playing along with drum tracks, playing along with the metronome. Those would be 3 key places to play along with things at home, right? And then if you want to do the songs, like for example, let's just say you're playing a musical and you're basically going into it and you could look up the songs and play with them in advance, right? And that way now that'll be step 1. And there is a problem with this. There is a downside. The benefit is that you get experience. The downside is that they're perfect. Well, mostly, right? Unless you're looking up like live versions from some band. That's the downside. And why I say it's a downside is because you'll get used to playing with it and everybody will be on time, everyone will be playing what they're meant to be playing, and it's all tight. And it's their tight and your only job is to fit in on top of it or fit in it with what you're playing. Then you meet other humans, and humans being humans, I'm human, I make mistakes, there's going to be mistakes. And that's where the rattle can happen when you play with others. And you're going to sense this. Like, I've played with groups before, and I've covered gigs at the last minute, and I was on, let's say, bass, and I noticed that if I played fills a certain way, it would throw off another member of the band. And there's this data gathering awareness in terms of the content you're doing, and now we're in the context, which is what to do to play with others. And like, you gotta calibrate, it's called in coaching. You gotta calibrate for what you're doing. So like as an example, if you notice that something you're doing, like a fill you're doing, throws somebody off, maybe play it quieter, you know. And of course, the responsibility is on the other player as well to not let it throw them off. But if the overall dynamics can affect it, then you got to do what's within your power to make the dynamic work. The other thing about it is, like, that's me saying outward awareness, like me saying when you play with others, watch them, keep an eye on them. But step one is to go into the rehearsal. Now, I do this after a couple of rehearsals, but step one will be to go in and just have your own stuff tight and go in and just focus on your own stuff. In terms of who you should stick with the most member of the band, I'd suggest the drummer, because they're just the rhythm center of the band. The notes of the bass player a lot of times should match some of what you're playing, and they'd be like melodic wise, they should match more, and the drums should keep you in time. The last things I'd ever listen to, if they're in it, is brass and woodwind and stuff like that. Just because I just thinking of it like a rock unit, like, you know, especially if you're playing it and it's kind of a rocky type thing you might be doing. So that'll be the thing. So you're going in, get your own stuff together, paying attention to what's going on around you, and then doing your homework. And what I used to do is, I did this for a couple of months before, and I was a long time gigging when I'd started doing this, but it worked really well. I kept a gig diary, and I used to write down 4 questions. What went well, or was it 4? No, that's weekly review, sorry. What went well? What didn't go so well? What can I do about it? And what will I do different next time? Right, so those 4 would work. So again, it's what went well, gather the good first, okay? Give yourself the pat on the back. What could have gone better? So what didn't go so well? Gather that info, that's the bar numbers. What could you do different? That's the search for a different approach. And what will you do different next time, which is placing it in time and space, okay? So those are a few things, and experience is the best teacher. Like, I've played in many different bands and in many different settings, many different musical type stuff, and it's been different every time. It's like what happens if you play a musical or you play a gig where maybe the drummer doesn't have their homework done? Is that on you? No. But are you in the group now and you have to respond to it? Yeah, you do. You know, and that, like, you can't predict these things in advance, you know. So I hope that helps. I hope that gives some context. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions in the chat, guys. But that is the big thing. Alrighty. So let's just check who else. We're all getting new guitars from Dave. Yeah, that's the big surprise. Hey Andrea, welcome in. How are you doing? Alrighty, so so that's playing with others for the first time. And the really cool thing about playing with others for the first time is, like, it's like some love song. Every time is like the first time. It's like every time you play with a new group of people, there's something new to watch, you know? Alrighty, folks, the next question that came in was from Brian, and it was about, I've read quite a lot online, guitarists asking about strum patterns that goes with certain songs. Is there a common strum pattern that goes with the majority of songs? Yes. Now, those of you guitarists watching this in the chat, anybody want to guess what that strum pattern is? I bet one of you know it. Take a guess. Use D's and U's in the chat. What is one of the most common strum patterns used in so many songs that even when you try and learn a new strum pattern, that you just find that this other strum pattern is following you around? I know one of you know it because he asked about it already. Let's see what we got. Cool, you'll be taking notes, William. Excellent, nice. Okay, any guesses? Going in 3, 2. Oh, so close. Thanks for the guess. So, it's this one here. Oh, we have a winner. Down, down, up, up, down, up. Yes, that is the most common. Okay, now the down, down, up, used in a ton as well. Okay, Andrea's in with it as well. Yes. Okay, good. Yeah, that is the most common one Brian used in so many songs. If you learn just that one, it's going to cover you for more songs than not. I can't even begin to put into words how many songs have that rhythm. And even when you think it shouldn't be so, it's in the songs. It's a Sweet Child of Mine. She's got Noel's in as well, good. You know, see, and it can be slowed down. Can be done fast. Do you know what I mean? It's so usable, that one. So that'll be the one. Yeah, so I won't add anything else in. Brian, if you just learn that one, down, down, up, down, up, and I'll write it here for you as well, just for any of you looking to do it. Give me 1 sec. There we go. Okay. Okay, that's the one. Okay. Now, the next thing is, yeah, basically all I played for 10 years. I was the very same, William. Yeah, 100%. Like, just same. Like, you know, it's used in everything. Used in everything. All right, so, folks, those are the first 2 questions that came in. I've Instagram on the go here, so I'm going to hop over for questions. But if you have any topics or anything you'd like to see covered, I am here. Okay, let's see. Oh, a question had come in on YouTube. I spotted that, actually. Just give me 1 sec. Okay, question from Rowan. I have a small chip in my guitar and I was just wondering if you have any recommendations on what I should do. Depends on how big the chip is. If it's affecting the playability of the guitar and the sound, I'd get it checked out. But you're going to get a lot of guitars that have chips. Like, I have a ton of mine. Like, it kind of goes with the territory. And some guitars kind of come with that sort of finish. It's kind of like a vintage sort of finish. So if it's not affecting the playability or the sound, I'd be okay with it, you know. That'll be all. Okay, have a quick check here. Okay, what else have we got? Okay, we're good. Okay, questions. Yeah, I'm going to actually just go into that a sec. So Andrea said about the strum pattern. Yeah, you can learn it, but then can't erase it when trying a different one. So, quick little tip around that. If you learn a strum pattern and you find that it's just following you around, what you want to do is slow down the song and make sure you can keep playing the strum pattern first. And more than likely, you find that when you start singing, that this other strum pattern re-emerges. So if you're going like this, that's strum. Then you start singing, you find that the old one comes back. So what you can do about that is you can basically play the new strum pattern and look down at your strumming hand, and you want to play it so much that it goes beyond just being able to get it. You want to do it till you're absolutely bored of it, till you start to wonder if this will become the new pattern that follows you around. And then you start to sing a very small bit, only the first line of the song or second line, and look down at your hand, and you're tracking to see is your hand starting to do the other one. And what you do is you stop. If the hand starts going back into the old pattern, stop, and you send the message to the brain and the hands, listen, we're not going on. And then go back again and go so slow. It's going to be frustrating because, like, when you think of unlearning bad habits on guitar or rewiring bad habits, that strum pattern isn't a bad habit, but it's a habit. And what happens is you want to have variations, so it'll take a lot of rewiring, okay, but it is so worth it. Okay, question from Andy. Oh, I forgot I can do this. Okay, here we go. Is the reason that most singers close their eyes while singing is that they don't want to see how the audience is reacting to them? That's a brilliant question. I've closed my eyes when I've sang in front of crowds, and it's been for that reason you just said, at times. Then other reasons I kind of just got into it, you know. So it's for a bit of both. But, like, think about the singer. Like, you know, Bryan Adams. Is he doing it? No. Like, he's just into it. You know, Damien Rice, into it. But it can be a good one. Christy Moore, my God. So you know what I mean? So, like, some players just do it, you know. And I don't know. I think as well, some singers are tapping into their emotions and their feelings when they close their eyes to, like, get into it more. And visually as well, it could get distracting if you look out the way. Like Andy, if you were singing out into a crowd and there's loads of like go Andy signs and it would be distracting, right? But like, you know what I mean? It's like just to basically, I've closed my eyes singing at gigs when I have sang out in a pub and I saw like, if you see that somebody's messing down in the crowd, it's distracting, you know? So yeah, it can be for both. Great question. Really good question. Okay. Okay, question from William. Talking about habits, should I stop also when I want to relax my pick? Now, that'll depend. So let's just say if you were relaxing your strumming hand and you're going like this, and you start to find this. If you can at all, try and catch it. The reason I say stop with the strum pattern is because it's so intertwined and there's so much of it. But if it's a one-off action, like relaxing your hand when you strum with the pick or relax your picking, you can relax it and get it back straight away. Just keep going, you know. And like the thing too is if that kept happening, just keep catching it and keep relaxing it, and eventually you'll just remember, you know. So if it's a one-off action, it's fine. If it's loads of downs and ups and stuff, then I'm like, stop, you know. It's too hard to try and unwire the downs and ups in the middle of it. Hope that helps. Okay, got a question here. Oh, there was a question earlier. Just give me a sec. Okay. Question here. Question, my friend's acoustic guitar doesn't have a battery slot, but mine does. Yeah, so some guitars, if it's a semi-acoustic, if you can plug it in, it'll probably have a battery slot. And then if yours can't be plugged in, that's why. Okay. Yeah, same question. Perfect. Yeah, so those pickups are exposed. Now, that's a bit technical. That wouldn't be my wheelhouse. Sorry. But if there is anybody here who wants to give a stab to that off the question with the 9-volt cells, work away, okay? Apologies. Do you know what I would suggest? Technical questions, like just find a group online. Ask, like there'll be some guitar groups that might be more around like tech setups and stuff. All right. Hey Stephen, what's up? Okay, question from Stephen. Should we play electric or acoustic or both for different sounds? Now, if you're the type of player who is playing a couple of hours a day, I don't see there being any harm in you doing a bit of electric and a bit of acoustic, because at that volume of hours, like spreading it between both works really well. Now, I would suggest spending, if you've been playing a length of time at all, which I know you have, right, I would do a small bit of playing on acoustic, and I'd only do that for songs that required it. So if I was learning like, that's acoustic all day, you know what I mean? Certain ones like that I'll be on acoustic. Then on electric, I'd be learning my scales, my pentatonics, my bends, my hammer-ons, all that stuff which we'll be talking about. Like, I'd be doing that on electric, okay? I'd learn it on electric, and then I'd go on to acoustic from time to time and kind of map them around, you know? But the thing about it is, like, it's good to do both. It's really good to do both. If in school, when I got an electric guitar, I almost was like, sure, we'll just sell my acoustic and I'll get an electric, because I'm not playing acoustic anymore because it's a beginner instrument. Like, I was 12, by the way. But like, straight away, my music teacher's like, where are you going? You're going to need an acoustic, like you can't be hauling around your electric amp with you everywhere and like trying to jam with others and stuff. So basically, the use case of an acoustic became so handy. And Stephen, if you think about it, like, let's say you play a load of stuff and you go around to someone's house or you're out and about, there's a higher percentage odds that you're going to be handed an acoustic to play for people than an electric, you know? And that's why it's good to have some songs that you specifically play in acoustic rather than try and hammer them out on the acoustic even though they belong in electric, you know, if you're in front of others. I know, in time, okay? Hope that helps. If you have any follow-up questions, just post, all right? Okay. Nice, yeah, things. What is a 9 volt? That's a battery. It's a type of battery. Yes, let's make go Andy signs. Let's make go everybody signs. Declan is the man. Okay, so here we go. Nice. Okay, excellent. So I hope you saw that on the chat, those of you who asked it. Okay. Okay, just checking down here. Yeah, Delhi. Okay. Okay, perfect, perfect. Okay, so let's just have a quick check here. Okay, question here. Okay, what advice would I give to a rhythm guitar player who's just starting? Play with the metronome, play with a rock beat going at 60 BPM at 4/4, stay on one chord, just work on getting steady, right? Beware of songs that are called easy rhythms, because the easy thing you can do is the most unexciting thing, and no video online is going to like tell you this is like the thing to do, because it's so boring, but it has to be done. So watch this. I'll basically break this down really quick. Okay, so right. So let's say with rhythm, super quick. Okay, so up here is where a lot of lessons we learn. Okay, that'll be our strum pattern. Then underneath, and then underneath here. Underneath here would be the count. Okay, and that'll be perhaps the rhythm values. Okay, that's your like this sort of stuff. And that's your like 1, 2 and then the lowest one is your beats. Okay. And the reason I'm so big on getting in here first is because if you don't, let's just say for argument's sake, if you're not steady playing with the metronome or drums, this is your foundation, and your foundation will be shaky, and then it doesn't matter if you're trying to go down, down, up, up, down, up, if it's unsteady. And also then, if you want to troubleshoot anything, and which you may have found in the past, like if you're playing along with the video online and you're like, mine doesn't sound like it, what do I do? Well, that's where learning to count and learning the rhythm values comes in so useful, because then you can troubleshoot it. You can break this part out and know how to count it, and you do the same here. Okay, Wonderwall is a fantastic example. It's so long. Like if you were to go, do you see that? So like that's so long. So being able to count it and break it down is huge. All right. So that's a small bit about rhythm there, just the triangle. Now, question, Jesus, electrician question. Oh, Brendan, nice. Okay, good. Afraid I was getting that question. I was like, I don't know what to say. Okay, good. Now, I am going to show you guys something pretty cool here. We'll take 2 minutes out. If you have any questions furthermore, let me know. So, those of you who are members, this has been going on in the background and it's coming next month. There's, as of right now, there's over 800 videos up on the channel here on YouTube, at least 800. And then inside our membership, you know, whenever you join, I know a common thing is that I need to catch up, or I might feel like I'm behind because I'm hearing it's Q&A 35. What happened to the other 34? And the number one thing is you don't need to catch up. You just need to know what you need to learn and what your next right step is. So with that in mind, I basically got somebody to get the transcripts of a couple of my videos, 800 of them. And this is a chat bot that's in development, okay? So let's just say how to change chords quickly. You ask this little version of me. This thing scans all 800 mentions and all, like every possible thing that I've ever said about chord changes in any video I've ever done inside our membership and inside of YouTube, right? I was wondering, there we go, okay. And it gives exactly what I would say in the way I would say it, because it's pulling from the videos. Now, okay, and it'll go on. and it also scans through the master classes we had, right? Right, so that's one. Now, if I do this here, there's a little button here, and hit this. Now, down at the bottom of this, so you see here like how to change chords quickly. Just give me a sec. Find anchor fingers, identify fingers that stay in the same place when moving between chords. For example, when moving from A minor to C, 2 fingers can remain in the same position. Visualize the chord change in advance, which, I don't know, do you remember? I've said that a couple of times. Drill the change, exact words. I say drill the change, okay? So all the stuff is here. And then in references, there's basically, it came from transcripts from the videos, but a really cool thing is, and I'll switch here a second, a really cool thing is there's different ones that do different things. All right, so just give me one sec. I'll get the next one. Got it, okay. So I can't wait to share this with you next month. Okay, so this is for members, so it's only for members. Okay. So all the previous Q&As, how to read guitar tab. If I put this in here. Okay, so it's searching through the videos. There we go. Now, if we go down to references here, look what it does. It'll pull up the exact video it's from. So if you like texts and answers, it's there. But if you're like, oh, I'd love to see that video, it basically pulls up the video. Like, this was a live Q&A I did in December 21st, 2022. And it timestamps the video at 21 minutes, 25 seconds. I spoke about guitar tab. So you hit play.
Go. How do you play it?
21 minutes, 25. It brings you straight into the point in the video. And my hope with this is, as time goes on, our Q&As will all be brought in there and you'll be able to search back through them, right? So if you miss something, you can just jump straight in, okay? And it saves you time, because I know time is precious. So I want to share that. Crew, I'm sharing that with you next month, all right? So that's been in development for quite a while. I'm super excited about it because this thing, like, I know, for example, if you've been chatting with me and I've sent you tips on your playing, you'll have noticed on 1 or 2 of the videos they've changed lately because the tips I'm sharing, for example, I'll just say, John, if I sent you a tip to do around strumming, okay, let's say, and then let's just say William had the same sort of question later on. William can go to the, we have to come up with the name for this little guy yet. We'll go to the guy, type in the question, and it'll actually pull up the video that I made, that I sent to John. So you're going to get stuff so much quicker and easier, okay? So, alrighty, so we have to come up with a name for it. Yeah, it's cool, it's cool. Oh my God, I can't wait to share with you. All right, so, okay, any other guitar questions, folks? We have 25 minutes, or any topics, anything like that. I'll have a scope here. Okay, we're good here. Okay, hey Dan, what's up? Welcome in. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So we'll go through everything. And like, I taught guitar for 24 hours there back in 2017 for a world record attempt. And I have all 24 hours of the audio and the teaching from that as well. So that's going to go into it also. So, oh man, it's going to be so cool. Alrighty, so the robots won't take over though, won't take over. Now we're going to ask Dave questions. No, well, put it this way. The first step should be task the app, right? Because if it's something I've answered before, you'll get it straight away. Like, you'll get it the second you ask, right? But if it's something then that it's not there, you ask me, I do the video will be sent and it'll go into the thing. So anytime the rest of you need to ask it, the video is going to be there as well. Okay, so the hope is as time goes on, there'll be like hundreds of questions going into this thing. 5 went in on Saturday. So if I was chatting with you on Saturday and I sent you something, that's gone into this little guy. All right, so Next question. Go search the app, yeah. Yeah, that's it. I'll just go drinking coffee. I'm done. No, I'm joking. No, because you're going to find that when you ask this thing stuff, it will say things I don't know, and that's perfect, right? So that you know. Okay. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Cool. Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course. It says acoustic Q&A. I will address some electric questions as well, of course. Why people get pedals rather than get multi-effects processors, while processors offer more for less money. Okay, so the setup, the question here is around effects pedals for guitar. I'm going to pull up this one here. This is, I don't have too many of these pedals left, but this one's one of my babies. This is what one on its own looks like, okay? It's an effect called a phaser. It's roughly around the same model that Eddie Van Halen used in the 70s before he got his own line. So it's old, it's really old and battered. So this does one sound. It creates a sort of whoosh sound. And the question is around, well, these cost a lot of money, like whether it's an old one or whether it's a new one. If you look them up online, like look up Strymon, Strymon, and that is like one type of pedal, and it could do one thing and it could cost 400 quid. And then you see other ones in places that do all the effects. And all the effects is they could have 40 effects and you could get one for 100 quid. So why is everything in the one? Well, the first thing is, my general advice is, if you're going into the effects pedal world, get a multi-effects to begin. Because I've seen so many players go, but Kirk Hammett uses this one pedal, he uses that, and I want to get the one that he uses, and that's valid, right? But the problem is, players get the pedal and they play around with it for a short while, it does one thing, and then get kind of bored. And then it's like, oh, I need to get another pedal. And then it's like, oh, well, this one costs 300 quid, or this one costs 80 quid. And then you get that one. And then this kind of goes on. But if you're looking to just step into effects, I would wholeheartedly just get a multi-effects. Now, in terms of what to get, I don't know. I'm not as much in the loop of that world as I used to be. I know effects come on amps. If you're looking to get a new amp, you can just get an effects built into the amp. There's also like the age of tech, as you saw with that little tool there. The age of tech we live in as well is unreal. Like you can get plugins to plug your guitar into the computer and get all the effects there. I was actually looking at one lately. Or actually, hold on, I'll share this. What is it called? Now, I'm not endorsing these, just to let you know, because I haven't tried them at all. I'll pull them up on screen here now. Sorry, one sec. There we go. Okay. So, this is one. This is called Amplitube. Again, I have not used it, so I can't say for sure how good it is or not, but I just know it's one of the industry leaders. But you see here, it basically hot rod your desktop, like basically all the effects you can have on your computer, which is pretty cool. The other one is Guitar Rig Pro Virtual. Okay, same sort of setup. And which one of these did it? Joe Satriani, I think it's Amplitube. If you go down here, like it has all the amps and everything. Yeah, Signature Collection. See that? Joe Satriani, Brian May, Dimebag Darrell, Fender have their own thing done with this company, right? So that's one thing. That would be quite a cost-effective way to get a ton of effects. Of course, it's on your computer, but if the end goal is to enjoy yourself playing with the ton of effects, it's a good way to do it. Then you have the multi-effects, and then I'd get into individual ones. The individual ones are pricey, like they cost quite an amount. And there's some really cool signature, like Eddie Van Halen has a signature flange pedal, signature phase pedal. You know, some artists have signature pedals, which is nice to get a hold of too. Okay, so hope that helps. So long story short, get a multi-effects to start, and then when you find out what effects you like, maybe then look at an individual one. Okay, Question from Steve, is it worth getting a loop pedal? Yes, 100%, definitely. So for example, here be some use cases for a loop pedal. First case will be your timing. It calls out any discrepancies with your timing, because if you're putting down a loop and you hit the pedal and it's just a fraction out, okay, sorry folks if you hear that in the background, tractor going by, if it's just a fraction out, every time that loop goes round, that little bit out gets wider and wider until it's a nightmare, right? That'll be one reason to get it. It's great for your timing. Second reason is it really gets you to think about, it's kind of like playing with others, even though you're playing with your own playing, you know? And that gets you to experiment with, you put down chords, and then you, like Steve, you could put down chords, and then you could practice pentatonic scales in on top of it and go, well, when I do A minor to D minor, how does that sound with the pentatonics there versus how does it sound with the G to C? You know, you have all that experimentation space, and it's totally customized because you can put down what you want on the looper. Just to let you know as well, I saw this, haven't tested them, don't know what they're like, but Ed Sheeran, Mr. Loop himself, who does world tours with the loop pedal, he has like his own signature loop pedal out now, which I'd say is probably unreal. So hope that helps. Okay, so any other follow-up questions, folks, on anything, just ask. Yes, no, that's exactly what they said in Terminator. This video will be looked on in decades to come and go, that's where the guitar Terminator was born. Dave's alter ego. Oh, nice. Okay, check this out. Shout out from Declan, Mr. Effects and Mr. Guitar here. Moore are a really great brand, alright. Moore 100 effects processor, more than enough for most people's needs, unless you're filling out stadiums. Love it. Okay. Okay, great, William, that's good to know. Amplitude 5 sounds good. Hey Brian, welcome in. How are you doing? Nice. Okay, that's 2 shouts from Moore. Let's give Moore some cred here. Dan, thanks for sharing. And that's built-in effects on the amp. Class, class, class. Okay. And the cool thing too about the multi-effects is, like, there's been cases here where I've taught students, younger students, who are like on the verge, they just weren't practicing. And I was like, George, maybe you should get an effects pedal if they're electric, and they did. And oh my God, they just started, the hours you spend playing with effects, like, you know, then they just got into guitar. And some effects as well, of course, like Bon Jovi, like certain songs, you need the effects, you know. Okay. Silent session, Dave. Nice. Okay, so, okay, cool. Let's see, how are we doing? We've 15 minutes. Let me think, is there anything else? Hey Brian, welcome in. How are you doing? I answered your question. The strum pattern is down, down, up, up, down, up. Just to let you know, this one. That is the one that once you learn it, you'll want to forget about it. All right, so let me see. Like, let me just think in terms of other materials. Like in the group we're speaking about finger picking. I put up day 6 of the finger picking has been released. Just to let you all know, day 6 is up. Okay, so if you want to be getting into that, you'll find it in the community. And with the finger picking, the key thing to watch with it is just to remember to work on your pattern, and then you have the tone of the pattern, the dynamics, getting louder and softer, and speed. That'll be the big things. Okay, so let me see. Oh yeah, okay. The other thing I'll just share here real quick, and keep an eye on the chat. The other thing I just want to share about the little robot guy, who we will all name, is this thing here. I've tested this out. So you can ask it. I said, search my library for resources on fingerpicking. Here's some key points and resources. And then it'll go down to the bottom and it'll point you towards all the different things. So that's the fingerpicking course and everything. You know, so it's pretty cool, pretty cool. Or pretty good, as they'd say in Curb Your Enthusiasm. Alrighty. Perfect. Okay. Let me see. Just trying to think now. Is there anything? Anything? Yeah, actually, okay. Drop D tuning. I got a question about that lately, so I'm going to share about it here. Somebody asked me lately about drop D tuning. What is it? Is it important? Do you need it? Okay, so I'll actually share a bit about that. Drop D tuning is where you get your top E string here, and you drop it down to a D. So you have your octaves. Right? So the first thing is with that is, why would bands do it? First reason a lot of times is they sound heavier. Like Rage Against the Machine. If you do that without drop D, doesn't have the same punch. The second reason for it is to play power chords faster. When you drop your E to D, instead of doing power chords with this shape, now you're going to do them with this shape. So you just have your index, which means you can go. You can do a ton of stuff like that, right? Then the other reason is some bands would have tuned down to it. One example, I'll say Van Halen, since I have the phase 90 there. That sort of low chug, and so that's one reason you can tune down to drop D. Another thing you can do is, if you want to experiment with chords, you could play, like, if you played a D minor with your E drop to a D, just sounds nice. Yes, and Everlong uses it, good. And the cool thing about it, which you probably found, Brendan, is when you go dropping down to D, it's like stuff you learned on the fretboard. Not all of it works anymore. Like especially a G chord. Doesn't work, E minor, you know? So that opens up the whole thing of, well, now I need to learn like new shapes. And that's, like the ones in Everlong are pretty cool to know, okay? So that's the other thing. It opens out the fretboard. And I remember for a period of time when I kind of got bored of playing with regular stuff, I used to detune certain strings, and I'd always tune down the way, because if you tune up the way, you could snap a string. So I'd tune down and test it out. So that's one. And then the other tuning is tuning down half a step. And tuning down half a step is where you take each of the strings and just move them back a fret on the guitar, and it just, everything sounds lower. Guns N' Roses' Thin Lizzy would be two really famous rock bands that did it. Why do bands do it? One, it sounds heavier. Two, it helps the singer because the singer doesn't have to sing so high. Bon Jovi did it on some songs in later years because the voice needed to drop a bit. And you know, it's worth, if you're learning those songs, it's worth learning how to tune up and down, you know, because it's like a version of, could you imagine never learning how to tune your own guitar? Like, you're at the peril of like always needing somebody to tune it. Well, tune down to half step or tune down to drop D is the same sort of setup. It's good to be able to do it quick if you do it. Double drop D and going to California. Yes, nice. Okay, question from Noel. Would I recommend learning the major or minor scale first? I generally learn the major scale first, okay? I was actually teaching some scales today, actually. So, quick bit on scales, right? So with scales, you have this. Right, so that's the ordinary open G major scale. And then the lower octave. Now Now, what I'm doing at the minute, because I'm always like experimenting with different teaching approaches and methods, is for acoustic guitars, learning that one first. Okay, and if you're watching this going, this guy's going fast, break it down. We'll be chatting during the week, okay? So, learning that. Now, the reason I'm learning both of those with students these days is because melodies and songs, like Caledonia is a well-known one. If I go, so learning some melodies of songs, it can be really useful by knowing just 2 octaves on a scale. And then you put the capo on, like that other one. I found love for me. And you can find some of these online. There's a really good one of Demons by Imagine Dragons, which is a lovely one just to play with open. So that's what I do there in terms of like a nice step into scales on acoustic with melodies, nice simplified melodies. And then you mentioned pentatonics there, Noel, I think. Let me see. Oh yeah. Okay, or pentatonic minor. If I was gearing myself to start playing solos on electric, yeah, pentatonic minor all day. Okay, I'd start with shape 1 and I do shape 4. Yeah, shape 4. Shape 1 and shape 4 would be the main 2 I do a lot of. Just because they offer the most scope for bends and runs, right? And then I'd have some fun just playing with some backing tracks, okay? But again, it's still good to learn the other basic ones as well. And I have played way more pentatonic minor than pentatonic major, just to let you know. Okay. Nice, love that tip. Thanks, Brendan. My second guitar is permanently tuned down half step, easier than having to retune all the time. Yes. Okay, good. Yeah, it's like, and that's the thing with guitar. Just I saw a comment there about a guitar and it was bought for 60 bucks. Like, you can sometimes be lucky and get stuff for like bargain deals, but some things, like the second you get it, you might just know, you go, oh, I should have spent a bit more, you know. So just keep an eye out. Default tune is down half step back there, love it. Lovely. Okay, question from Andy. Question about the capo. When you move up the fretboard, if your open key is A, can you keep playing the same shapes? And how far can you move up with these? Capo. When you move up the fretboard, if your open key is A, can you keep playing the same shapes? Yeah, you can. So if you have a capo on the go, the limitation is in the finger placement. So like, watch this. Like, if I go up to the 6th fret here, or it's up another one actually, that one. Okay. Okay, 7th fret. Do you know? But rarely would I do it, Andy. Only if the song called for it. Jason Mraz would be one. You done me and you bet off. Riptide, lately running down to the rip. Galway Girl, not going to play it though. Will be up here. Okay? Yeah, so I hope that helps. And then a cool little one, just to let you all know, that you can experiment with if you're looking for some creativity type of stuff, is to take a chord shape in its open position and just slide it up frets and just see, does it create any unusual chord that you might go like, Like for example, what's this? With the D, if I went like this, Traveling Wilburys, and it's alright. Okay, D chord just slid around. Okay, you could try it with the A. You know, it doesn't work as well in other ones, but just a bit of different exercise you could try. Okay, okay, you're welcome, Dan. Welcome, Noel. Okay, lovely, love it. Okay, cool. Nice. All right, folks. We've time for about 1 or 2 more questions. Any more? Or forever hold your guitar piece. Okay, let's check. Like, oh, strings. I'm going to say something very small about changing strings, okay? Shout out to Andrea, who in our group went changing strings last week, and it can be daunting to change, right? So I know, Andy, you've strings on the way as well, I think. Changing strings can be tricky if you haven't done it much, right? But I just want to give you a bit of math, okay? Especially if, let's just say it costs you 20 quid to get your strings changed, okay? So now you're paying for the set, and strings in general, I'm going to say they cost 20 quid nowadays, roughly. Especially for those elixirs, if I can spell that, oops. So if it's 20 quid to get them changed every time, and in general, like when I was at the peak of like playing a ton of guitar every day, like I mean, I was doing that 5-6 hour thing a day. I was changing mine at the peak, it was once a week, but like once a month would cut it. Definitely, definitely change it once a month if you're playing 5-6 hours a day. You will be amazed at the difference in tone and how it feels to play. And it has that whole thing, it feels like you're caring for the guitar. So, like, if it's costing money every time somebody else is changing it for you, imagine you did that every month. That would be 240 quid in a year to pay somebody to change your strings for you. But the second thing, and I've seen this happen players, where they come to an open mic, they snap a string, and they don't know how to change their own strings. And I've seen it happen where, first of all, there's the fear of, oh my God, who here can change a string? Like, is everyone else like me? Who? Hopefully not. Then if somebody does change it, and then the string isn't settled, you know, there's so much skills involved in changing your own strings. So I just want to share that, you know, it's so important, okay? And pay attention to the video. Okay, nice. No, William, not tomorrow. No, we're currently I'm in the steadying up phase of, there's been a lot of work going on behind the scenes. So no, not tomorrow. But I'm looking forward to our call, because William is going doing a video interview about his time at a really cool guitar learning place. So that's all I'll say. So I'm looking forward to that call tomorrow. Okay, last question. Our TFM, yeah. Our lecturer told us that in college. No. Okay, so last question. I struggle with strumming. I've played for years. I can't make it through a whole song if I'm singing. I end up singing that to the same rhythm as strumming. Yes, that is so common. Okay, you're not alone. Right, so Luke, here's what I'd say, right? Drill, get the lyrics learned so well that you don't need to think about them. I mean, far beyond everything you've ever known. And same with the strumming, and break it down. Like, do the strum pattern, stay on one chord, and basically loop it on that one chord. And if you do find it's in a certain part of the song, like, go slower and look at your hand at that point, because visually you'll bring awareness to your hand. A classic area, right? Like, when I teach songs to students, I see patterns, and one that really is amazing is Wonderwall. That bit where he goes like this. So, and all the roads that light the way back. Like, a ton of players end up playing the rhythm of what they're saying on that very part. Like, I've seen it happen again and again and again and again. So the advice is, look at the strumming hand, bring your awareness to it, and that way visually you're going to catch it, right? And like I was saying earlier on the stream, stop. Because the very tempting thing would be to keep going. Because if you're playing rhythm and it still sounds kind of half good, like, you'll go, not too, it's still okay, like. But what that does is that reinforces it. That reinforces that whole thing. You're going, well, I'm not getting it, but I'm playing something that's close to it, you know. So you want to stop, like, stop it straight away and go again. And the pain of stopping, the pain of like making yourself stop and go all the way back to the start again, it increases the odds of you like adding more urgency to fixing it. A great example, last thing I'll leave you with, was this picking exercise I did once. Right, did it all the way up the neck. And it was in a Steve Vai, he's an electric player, amazing player. He used to do a picking exercise, and if he made a mistake, he'd start again from the start. So, like, even if you get up to here, and you're meant to get up to here, if you made one little mistake, you start again. And that discipline and that sort of cost of like error, we'll say, can help, you know. But I do have a resource or two. If you want to drop me a DM on Instagram, right? Just go to, I'll drop it here, the Instagram. There we go. Drop me a DM. I have a resource that can help as well that I did already. Okay, I can point you towards it. All right, folks. Thank you very much. Regular gauge for guitar strings, super quick. I like 11s. Some players might be 12s. The reason I like 11s is because you can do sort of solo-y stuff on acoustic as well. All right. On electric, I do 10s on the thin strings and 11s on the thicker ones. Okay. So it's 11 gauge on the thicker 3 strings, 10 on the other ones. So I get the heavy edge and the other one. All right, thanks a million for making it in, everybody. Those of you inside our community, I'll be seeing you. So if you're doing the finger picking journey right now, the video's up, right? So we're mapping it into actual use, okay? So you'll find that in your classroom. That little cool guitar bot thing you saw, that's going to be released next month, right? So it's still being developed. There's bits being added in, but that's one of the things that's coming. All right, folks, and keep plugged into the community. Keep the videos coming. It's great to see you in there. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all very soon. Take care. Have a nice evening.